Saturday, February the 24th, 2018, to you. Rio de Janeiro. It is also known as the Cidade Maravilhosa, wonderful city. Indeed, Rio has beautiful beaches, delicious coffee, a flourishing culture, sensual women. Is there something I'm omitting? Oh yes, crime. Over 5,000 shootouts and close to 7,000 murders occurred last year. In an attempt to reduce the crime wave, President Mr. Michel Temer signed a federal intervention on February the 16th to take over public security in the city. In other words, the Brazilian army is taking full charge, with generals replacing the entire civilian leadership of the police. General Walter Braga Neto was appointed by President Temer to oversee all police and army forces in Rio. Before anything else, this is the first federal intervention in Brazil since democracy returned in 1985. It is pretty obvious that Cariocas are now living under a state of constitutional exception. I have no objections to federal intervention as long as it is aimed at tackling a specific goal. Unfortunately, this is not the case here. Constitutional exceptions must always be duly justified. On the other hand, military commands have to be thoroughly detailed so that they can be duly executed. I am afraid that President Temer seeks the army to wage a war against crime, and abstract wars are never winnable for those who fight them. Secondly, that the federal army must take another institution's responsibility is always a sign of failure. In this case, we ignore for how long Brasilia will interfere in state-level activities. While soldiers are patrolling Rio's favelas, the city's police force should be reformed. Cops must be better trained and equipped. Many are understandably nervous due to the intervention. Indeed, pursuant to Mr. Temer's decree, an entire street, rather than a single house, could be subjected to a riot. There are fears that military intervention will become a blunt instrument endangering poor and defenseless peoples in the favelas. Personally, I'm afraid that an intervention could end up solving nothing. It is unrealistic to expect the army to take on unsolved urban issues. On the other hand, people in the favelas are poor, but Rio's top drug lords are immensely rich. Of course, their names, given the illegal source of their wealth, are not enlisted in Forbes magazine, but I fear that they have enough resources to bribe some army officers. I hope I may be wrong. Military leaders like using medical metaphors. We are the cure, our society is sick, and so on. If I may use that kind of analogies, I fear that Rio's crime may develop resistance to the military antibiotic. Finally, President Temer, unsurprisingly, announced that today he will not run in October presidential elections, so he will not be around in 2019. What about soldiers? Please, Mr. Temer, do not frame it on Rio. The world is still on.